Welcome to Forward Ever, Leading in Challenging Times, presented by Worth Wealth Management, a weekly conversation with area leaders about how to persevere during uncertain times. Now here's your host, Gary Shorman.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Forward Ever, Leading in Challenging Times. Those that listen along know that our show deals with maybe challenging situations, challenging times, and our guest today certainly knows about that sort of thing, and is leading the way to make a difference for those that he represents. Our guest is Sam MacRoberts, who is a Kansas native. He earned his political science and Juris Doctor degree from the University of Kansas. Sam, welcome to our program today.
Thanks a lot. I'm excited to chat with you.
For those that, there's people that know a lot about this, but there's a lot of us out here that just know a little bit. And the little bit is that the Cozy Inn hamburger stand in Salina was taking on, or the city of Salina was taking on the Cozy Inn, whichever way you want to do that, upon a mural on the wall. And so we'd hear about this and really didn't understand what all went along with making that whole discussion and the reasons for it. Anyway, last week, a U.S. District Court judge ruled that the city of Salina violated the First Amendment by ordering the Cozy Inn to stop painting its UFO-themed mural that they had. And that marked a major legal victory for a century-old hamburger restaurant that had free speech advocates. And for Sam and the Justice Institute, they helped get all of this done. Sam, can you fill us in the details? Because I gave you the broad sketch of what's going on, but what are the specifics of this whole legal battle?
So this whole thing started back in November of 2023. Steve really wanted to participate in Salina's mural scene. Gary, I'm sure you've seen it. Salina has cool murals all around the town. Steve really wanted to participate in that, so he hired an artist to start painting this really cool, strange, whimsical mural. It is UFO themed, burger-esque murals flying around the Cozy Inn and blasting it with ketchup and mustard. It's this really cool kind of thing.
Now, he's the owner of the store, right? Steve is the owner of the store.
Yeah,
Steve Howard, right?
Yep, Steve Howard. He runs and owns the Cozy Inn. And so it's his building, and he really just wanted to show his personality and the Cozy's personality, and what a way to do it with that mural. So the artist starts painting the mural, and then about 3 days later, the city of Salina says to Steve, "You can't paint that mural. We consider it a sign." And then that's really where everything took off back in really November of 2023.
Well, one of the things I was looking at, Sam, is that why can't you have a sign on the side of your building, too? I mean, I really couldn't figure out why they were really zeroing in on the Cozy Inn because of this, because other buildings have signs on the side of it.
So from the city's perspective, they did two different things. They had considered murals to be completely unregulated, but signs were regulated. So for the city of Salina, they looked at the content of what this display was going to be, and then made this determination that, oh, well, this isn't really a mural. This is a sign, and because it's a sign, we're going to restrict it. But if it was a mural, then we would not have restricted it. And so it's this very strange kind of thing that the city of Salina had been doing for a long time.
Well, when you got involved at some point, and let me ask this, you have a small business owner. He's painting a sign on the side of the business, wants to do that. How did you become involved with this?
So we ended up talking to Steve about this. It was a pretty big deal in the city of Salina. Everybody is familiar with the Cozy. Everybody loves the Cozy. It had started making the news. And so eventually we had a conversation with Steve. And I'm so grateful that we did, because you're right. There are a lot of business owners who are probably going through similar things that Steve went through. And for a lot of them, they just decide, well, I don't have the money to hire an attorney, or I'm not really interested in pushing back. It's just easier for me to go away. But that's not Steve's personality, and we don't charge our clients any money. We're a free law firm. So it's really a perfect fit. We were able to help Steve out for free.
And this wasn't something that just was in the city of Salina, because it moved up through the court system, correct?
So this was a lawsuit that was filed in federal district court. So federal district court of Kansas, and the judge who issued the opinion was Judge Toby Kraus.
And when did you jump into the case?
So we filed this lawsuit on behalf of Steve and the Cozy Inn in early 2024. So from about November of 2023 until early 2024, Steve just had this half-finished mural on the side of his building. And we ended up filing this federal lawsuit saying, hey, what the city of Salina is doing is violating Steve and the Cozy Inn's First Amendment rights.
And at that point, you have a half finished mural, and I've seen the mural, and it is half finished. It sort of became an icon in and of itself. Like,
Yeah.
what's going on with this? So when you jumped in and took it to the next at that level, what was the next steps you had to do to get it? Because it took 2 years to get a decision.
Yeah, so it's, litigation sometimes takes a long period of time. And basically, from day one, when we filed the lawsuit, we had been fighting for and advocating for Steve and the Cozy Inn to be able to finish that mural. And so that was the whole issue behind this lawsuit. We don't sue for money damages. Steve wasn't interested in getting money damages. He just wanted to finish painting that mural. That's all he really wanted to do. And so that's why we took the case on in fighting back against the city of Salina and their position that this thing was a regulated sign instead of an unregulated mural.
Were you surprised with the decision?
I was really happy with the decision. I can't say that I was surprised. I felt very confident in our argument that what the city of Salina was doing was violating the First Amendment. I think there from our perspective, we had done a lot of research, we had done a lot of thinking about this, and we were very confident that the city can't pick and choose which displays stay and which go because of the content. There's a couple of exceptions to that, like, of course, obscene things, but that's not what's going on here. And so we felt very confident that what the city was doing was just not kosher and it was violating the First Amendment. So we're very pleased with the decision, but I can't say that we're surprised.
Are you going to go help finish the painting?
I don't think they want me to because, I mean, as my family knows, whenever I sit down to help with drawings and things like that, I think I would ruin that mural so fast. So I'm not.
Well,
I'm,
you and
yeah.
I are in that same boat with that. We'll just stand back and admire, maybe having a cozy burger while we're watching the painters finish up that work. Because there is a timeline for finishing it up.
Yeah. So right now, we're talking to Steve about that. The uh, judge's ruling, there hasn't been a judgment issued yet, and so we're kind of on standby a little bit until this thing just gets wrapped up. The city of Salina can't appeal. That's their decision on whether or not they want to do that. We still feel confident that at the end of the day, Judge Cross's ruling will be affirmed on appeal. So we're confident that at the end of the day, Steve's going to be able to finish that mural. And I'll tell you, I will be there with a sack of cozies watching them as they put that final little paintbrush to the wall.
Well, invite me over to that, Sam, because
Yeah.
Cozy makes great burgers. But this is something bigger than that. With small business trying to do what they do, you can have a site in. And I like to drive around our communities, and you see the murals that are on the wall, and these buildings that are just old brick buildings now all of a sudden come to life with murals, whether it be history, whether it be statements about communities, all those sort of things. But a lot of communities are doing this, and Salina may be one of those in the lead of making that happen. So the Cozy Inn, getting that done. You guys appreciate the work to get to this point, but I want to bring viewers a little bit up to date on what you do in a bigger sense, because in this case, you help Steve Howard at the Cozy Inn uh, fight for what I'd say justice. But you have the Kansas Justice Institute. That's a public interest litigation center. But your mission is to protect individual liberty and the constitutional rights of all Kansans. And when we talked earlier, before on another program, you were doing that same thing. Fill us in on what you do and how people interact or get in touch with you.
Yeah, so we do a lot of different types of cases, but they're all based upon, just as you mentioned, individual rights and liberties and protecting constitutional rights of Kansans. So we do things like for the Cozy Inn, fighting for the First Amendment rights of Steve and the Cozy Inn. We fight for people's rights when it comes to occupational licensing. We're currently representing Bren Green out of Hayes. Bryn is a mom. She wants to perform sugaring, but the state of Kansas won't let her do that unless she gets this occupational license. And to get that occupational license, it is very onerous. We think it's arbitrary. We think it violates the Kansas Constitution. So we filed a lawsuit against the state of Kansas saying you can't keep Bryn Green from doing something that is safe for no good reason. And so we really take these cases on where it makes sense to fight back against the government. They're, we're a free law firm, so we're willing to take these cases on and fight for years on end. And if it takes it to the Supreme Court, we go to the Supreme Court. If we get a ruling from a trial court like we did here, we're happy. We just want to protect our clients' constitutional rights. But we do everything from forfeiture cases to occupational licensing cases, warrantless search cases. There are a lot of cities and governments out there that are conducting warrantless searches of people's property. We think that's unconstitutional. So we do a lot of different constitutional litigation cases.
You said something, free law firm. You don't hear that a lot, but you actually take these cases. How do you pay for this? How do you when somebody comes in, because you're moving this up to federal courts and doing things, it takes money to do that.
Yeah.
How do you get it done?
We have a lot of generous donors and just cannot thank them enough for helping us be able to fight these cases and fight for our clients' rights. So we're just so thankful for that. And people get in touch with us all the time we have a case submission portal. And so all they got to do is go to our website, kansasjusticeinstitute.org, and they can fill out their case submission, and that's one way to get in touch with us.
Sam, that's a good place to take a break because I want to come back and say and talk a little bit about the breadth of cases that you take and what you sometimes have to turn down. Our guest is Sam MacRoberts, who is with the jurist, is a great group of people who put together and fight for your interest. He's with the Kansas Justice Institute. We'll be back with more after this.
Since 1776, the United States of America continues to stand tall. It's been tested before, many times. Through grit and the ability to move forward, we create better tomorrows. We help our clients live their best lives to and through retirement. We make it easier. Thank you, Kansas. Worth Wealth Management, enhancing lives and strengthening families.
Welcome back to Forward Ever, Leading in Challenging Times. Our program's brought to you by Worth Wealth Management. Our guest today is Sam MacRoberts. And Sam, we've had a great discussion about the Cozy Inn and their sign. And I'm going to try to hold you to this thing on the Cozy Burgers when they finish up that sign, because they just make such great hamburgers down there. But you cover a lot of different things. In the Kansas Justice Institute, and that's .org if you want to go to their website, covers a lot of things. What don't you cover? When somebody calls, you say, boy, that's something we don't do.
Well, there isn't a lot that we wouldn't do, or at least there isn't a lot that we wouldn't consider. We don't sue for damages. So if somebody's looking to sue the government for $1 million because they got hit by the postal truck, that's not the kind of case we do. What we do is we're fighting for constitutional rights. We're fighting to get orders from judges to tell cities and states to knock it off, to stop violating the law, to stop violating the Constitution. But, we're always willing to take a look. So if somebody has a case and they want to send it to us, we'll take a look as best we can.
And the best way to get started there, is that through your website?
It is kansasjusticeinstitute.org. We have a case submission portal. Just ask information like your name, what is going on, tell us about what you think is happening, and that's the easiest way to get in touch with us.
Is this the craziest case ever that you've had with a hamburger sign?
I don't know if it's the craziest, but it is. It has been such a fun case. Steve is such a great client. I love that mural. The mural is great. Plus, this is such an awesome excuse for me to go down and get a sack full of burgers. I'm feeling it though. I feel like maybe I need to take a break on the burgers, but I can't. They're too good. They're too good.
They are too good. And I just appreciate the work you do, because sometimes people, especially if they're running a business or a small business or an individual that feels like they've been mistreated, this gives them at least an avenue to get started, and you guys can help them do that. So, Sam, thanks to the work that you guys do. Congratulations on your effort with the Cozy Inn and the success over there. But thanks for what you do for all of Kansas.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Our guest is Sam MacRoberts with the Kansas Justice Institute. You can find them, that same name, kansasjusticeinstitute.org, and you can submit what you want, what your thoughts are, what you would like help with, and they'll get back to you on that. Again, thanks for listening to Forward Ever, Leading in Challenging Times. Our program is brought to you by Worth Wealth Management. Thanks for listening. I'm Gary Shorman.
Thanks for joining us for Forward Ever, Leading in Challenging Times, presented by Worth Wealth Management. Join us right here next week for another episode with host Gary Shorman. Until then, remember to move forward ever, backward never.